Renting is not lighting your money on fire or tossing it out a window or throwing it away or any other version of that sentiment. It's simply another way to pay to live. And if it works for you, that's really all that matters.
Who the f*** am I to tell you what to do with your money?
My name is Priya Malani, currently managing millions of hardworking dollars. Enough foreplay. Let's talk
Money.
Welcome to the F word. Smart money.
No bull.
Hey guys, everyone says renting is throwing money away. But what if I told you that buying a home could actually cost you more? I grew up just like you, believing that being a real adult meant buying a home. I had a list of non-negotiables for my childhood dream home, and it had everything from a sunken-in living room, glass shower doors. I hate a shower curtain, even when I'm traveling in a hotel. Always a glass shower door. And a pool with an infinity edge, because obviously. But when I got older, things just didn't line up for me to be on track for a home. I was in my early 20s, laser focused on my career. I wanted to climb the corporate ladder, maybe go abroad, maybe my job would take me abroad. But the last thing I wanted was a mortgage that would lock me down. So I rented, and I paid a shit ton. I was living in less than 300 square feet downtown Manhattan, and I was shelling out about $1,800 a month. And I felt successful, working in New York City, early 20s, great nightlife, all the shows, direct flight to basically anywhere in the world. But I still had this nagging feeling that I should be saving up for a down payment because that's what I would eventually want to do. I think no matter how much sense renting makes for your life, there's always that little voice in the back of your head saying, buying a home is the path that a real grown-up takes. And if you've ever had your parents side-eye your rent payment, you know exactly what I'm talking about. A friend of mine, she's in her 40s, she'll kill me for saying that, high-earning, financially savvy, married mother, but she still hears it from her dad. She's renting in Williamsburg, Brooklyn for $7,000 a month. She's got a beautiful 2-bed, 2-bath, amazing private balcony rooftop. The location is ideal. She's got these beautiful sunset views. All the maintenance is handled by her landlord. Zero stress. Her dad is absolutely horrified. He was like, you just don't do that. To him, homeownership equals success, and renting is pretty much a financial failure. I should mention that there are some people that owning is a good decision for. There are actually some big red flags, though, that you should be aware of in the home buying process, and I'm going to tackle those in the next episode. Back to my friend. She doesn't want a house. She doesn't want to spend weekends at Home Depot fixing leaks, mowing a lawn, dealing with surprise costs that just magically appear right when you think everything's coasting for a sec. But let's be really clear. Owning a home isn't just a financial decision. It's a lifestyle choice. If you're okay with HOA drama, surprise roof repairs, and spending thousands, just to, quote, maintain your investment, go for it. But I want to cut through the noise and get to the bottom of it. Is buying a home actually a smart investment? So contrary to popular belief, this is actually one of the biggest money myths we've all been sold. Let's look at the math and see whether it actually checks out. Before I do, I want to tell you about this article I came across a couple years ago in the New York Times. It was about a young couple. They were debating the renting versus buying decision. They wanted to, quote, stop throwing money away on rent, right? They had just welcomed a son, starting to grow their family, and they wanted to know if buying would be a better investment. So this article quoted a stat that blew my mind. Over the last 100 years, home prices outside of bubble markets, think of bubble markets as like the New York, LA, have only appreciated by about 0.37% per year after inflation. Let me say that again. Home prices outside of bubble markets have only appreciated 0.37% after inflation. Your home isn't the gold mine you think it is. And that's before we factor in maintenance, property taxes, closing costs, and interest. Let's look at the math. Let's break it down. What's the real cost of buying a home? So let's say you buy a $500,000 home with a 20% down payment. You put $100,000 down. You take out a 30-year mortgage at, let's say, 7% interest. Over the next 30 years, you'll pay around $700,000 in interest alone. That means your $500,000 home, that house that you felt and probably negotiated to get into at $500,000, actually costs you $1.2 million. I'm just going to pause for a sec. Imagine buying a car, a $50,000 car, and realizing you actually paid $120,000 for it. That's what essentially happens with a mortgage, but on a much bigger scale. So I know what you're thinking. My home will appreciate. Okay. Let's say your home appreciates at 4% per year, which is generous historically. In 30 years, your home might be worth $1.6 million. Sounds like a win, right? Except you've paid $700,000 in mortgage interest. You've spent hundreds of thousands on property taxes, maintenance, and repairs. And when you sell, you're going to fork over tens of thousands in closing costs. And let's not forget that $1.6 million in 30 years is not going to be worth what $1.6 million is today. Inflation will eat at that appreciation. So what is the takeaway here? My point is don't listen to the noise. If you hear people say that renting is throwing money away, remind them that a big chunk of their mortgage payment is also thrown away because it doesn't go towards actually owning anything. Interest, gone. Property taxes, gone. Maintenance, gone. By the time you sell, you're not actually making a massive profit. You're simply getting back the money you spent over decades, while your renter friend was investing, traveling, and not stressing about burst pipes. So then you might say, but my home is my retirement fund. I hear this one all the time. When I retire, I'm just going to sell my home and cash out and I'll have all that money. Except that to cash out, you have to sell your home. And when that time comes, you may not want to. In fact, most people don't want to, and it comes as a shocker to them that in order to access their cash, that's their only choice, right? At this point, maybe you're settled. Maybe your kids love coming back to their childhood home, the home they grew up in. Maybe you don't want to move just to access your money. So then what? What do? You take out a home equity loan? That's just taking on new debt in retirement. Or worse, you're actually forced to sell when the market isn't on your side. For most people, your home shouldn't be your retirement plan. It's just a place to live. So is there a smarter alternative if you're thinking about it as a, quote, investment? Let's look at what would happen if you rented instead. Let's run the numbers and actually look at them. So instead of buying, you invest that $100,000 down payment. Historically, the stock market returns around 7% per year. In 30 years, that $100,000 grows to over $761,000. And if you invested, let's just say half of what you would put towards mortgage interest, you're now looking at millions of dollars in growth. Not dollar for dollar that you put in, but actual growth. And unlike home equity, your investments stay liquid. meaning you can access them whenever you want. No selling your home required. So at the end of the day, whether you rent or own, you're always paying for housing. The question isn't, am I wasting money? It's, what am I getting in exchange for my housing costs? Renters get flexibility, predictable costs, zero unexpected expenses. Homeowners get equity, but at a much higher premium than most people realize. It's not bad, I'm just saying it's a much higher premium than people realize. So when you actually break down the numbers, renting versus buying isn't nearly as different as you've been led to believe. And my point is, if you love renting, if you love flexibility, own that decision. You're not making a mistake. You're making a choice. And that's what smart money moves are all about. The smartest move is the one that aligns with your lifestyle. If you love renting, keep renting. If you love the idea of homeownership, go for it. But just don't buy a home because you think it's the only way to build wealth, that you think it's a smart investment. Stop letting people guilt trip you into thinking you're doing something wrong. The math simply doesn't support that statement. Renting is not lighting your money on fire or tossing it out a window or throwing it away or any other version of that sentiment that you've heard and will likely continue to hear. It's simply another way to pay to live. And if it works for you, that's really all that matters. If this episode has helped take some of the pressure off for you renters out there, please share it with a friend who needs to hear the same. All right, guys. See you next time. Thanks for listening to The F Word with Priya Malani. If you like what you heard, hit subscribe wherever you're listening and leave us a review while you're at it. We're approval junkies. Don't forget, you can find a ton of great resources, content, courses, and other freebies at stashwealth.com. Now, for the capital S stuff our lawyers want us to say. StashWealth is a registered investment advisor. Content presented is for informational and educational purposes only and is not intended to make an offer or solicitation for any specific securities, product, service, or strategy. Consult with a qualified investment advisor, that's us, before implementing any strategy. Investing involves risk, including the loss of principal. Past performance does not guarantee future results. There, we said it.
Did I have that up?